everyone. I think it's working. Sorry I'm a little bit late. We were finishing up cleaning the clinic after our last rounds of patients, but I am Brittney Everhart. I am the clinic manager at our Alcoa clinic in Tennessee. I am a board certified orthopedic specialist, and I'm here today to show you a little bit about how to control your movement better. So, we have Mackenzie in the background. She's going to be helping me out on a few exercises as well. She's a tech here as well as a PSC for our clinic. So today I'm going to work on movement control. So a lot of times when we think of strengthening, we think of power, speed, force, lifting more weights, and we forget that we have to control the movement as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you kind of from bottom to top and try different things that you can help control your movement. So we work on control, and that's small segmental movements. Most of this is not very, or it's extremely hard to control it, but it's not very fatiguing or anything like that. So let's get to work, and then at the end I'll try and answer any questions because sometimes it can get a little different. So I'm going to have Mackenzie take over the camera, and you get to look at my feet for a second. I'm really sorry for that. I did try and paint my toes, but I have a nasty tan line from the lake this week. So what I'm going to do, you can zoom in. So the first one is called toe yoga. So it sounds really weird, but what you're going to try and do is lift your little toes and then down and lift your big toe. You want to do this without letting your foot cave in or out. So I'll try from this angle. Big toe, little toes. The coordination gets really hard, and what you want to avoid again is rolling out or in. Everything stays still. Our feet are really important. They carry our weight all day. And a lot of times we don't give them enough attention and realize that we can actually strengthen our feet. So what we're doing here is working our intrinsic muscles of our foot, and those are the little tiny ones that start and end in our foot. Through toe yoga, we're actually strengthening our arch. So people who have a lot of plantar fascia pain or even like Achilles tendonitis, if you take more load in your foot and strengthen the little muscles in the foot, you're not going to be using your calf as much. You're not going to be stressing the fascia as much. You're going to be controlling that load a little better. So you should be able to quite easily switch back and forth. A lot of people won't be able to do this at first, and you're going to get frustrated, but the key is just like riding a bike. The more you practice, the better you'll get. So again, practice makes perfect, just alternating, really thinking, force my big toe into the ground. Good. So also with strengthening, we'll stay down here. The feet is foot arching. So again, we'll go to that side angle. If you press your big foot into the ground, you're going to be able to find that nice arch in your foot is going to raise a little bit. Again, this helps with people with plantar fascia, Achilles pain. You're getting control of your foot to help offload those power muscles, those big muscles that work too hard for us every day. So you're going to arch in and hold. And if you notice on my toes, you don't have to zoom in, I'm not curling them. I'm pushing down to lift, and it's a nice arch. Good, so again, not here, pushing down to lift. Our flexor hallucis, the muscle that attaches to our big toe, actually helps form the arch. So again, by strengthening that muscle, you're gonna take some of that load off your plantar fascia and give yourself some extra help. And I usually have people hold it for about 5 seconds before they move on. Good. All right. So we started today with the feet, which I again think get widely underutilized and kind of underappreciated. I'm trying to get my shoe back on, I'm sorry. And next we're going to move to the hip. So our hips, we think of a lot of glute strength. We think of quads, they attach with our hip, but sometimes we forget about the rotational component of it. So I'm going to teach you a little bit of stability control through our hips. If we think, I like to train hips a lot unilaterally. So if you think of when we run, when we walk, when we're on stairs, at a certain point, there's always a moment of single leg stance. So if we only train when we're on 2 legs, then we're never gonna get that benefit of being on 1 leg at a time. So I do a lot of one-legged training with patients of all ages, because again, everybody has to walk, everybody has to climb stairs. We might not all run, but there are things in our life that we become on 1 leg for. So for this one, we're gonna start with a rotational movement. I will show you a way to modify this to make it a little easier for those who do have balance issues. So I call this a hand to knee. The trick with this one is you're rotating on your stance leg. So you are going to rotate in and down. Again, you're twisting through here, and then as you come up and out, rotating here. So it's all control on that stance leg. So again, coming in and down, up and out. Thing that this one that people might cheat on is they come and they just want to move the left leg. So again, stance leg. In and down, out and back. A lot of times we try and train just in the forward movement because we think stairs, walking, all that's just going forward. But if you can't protect those forces coming at us from different angles, we step on a rock wrong, we get thrown off, it all comes from our hip. So trying it in different motions and different planes really can help us with that control. So you might say, I'm really horrible at balance, there's no way I'm gonna be able to stand on 1 leg to do that exercise. That is totally fine. So you can get a chair and use it for support. Back up a little bit. And do the same thing. So again, hold this one, rotating towards the chair, and then away. You can put another one on this side to rotate towards it, or just hold on here. And so you're not going into the full movement, but you're working on rotating. Again, you can't stand on 1 leg even holding on for that long. We can make it a little bit easier. Mackenzie, can you get me the 6-inch box? Yeah. So to do that, we give you a small base of support. So the leg that you are not standing on gets to touch something. So thank you. Yep. So you can get a box, a stack of books, words in my way, and put the 1 foot on. You want to use as little force as you can, and then again, you can still rotate on that stance leg. The other leg might have to walk out, but you're still getting that control. So most things we can always make harder, and a lot of times it's really tricky to find ways to make it easier. But using something to hold on to or a box to put a little bit of weight on, both of those can really help you there. All right. So from here, we're gonna move up to the spine. And spine's one of my favorite things to work on segmental control with, because a lot of times we think that we need to do crunches, sit-ups, everything that works the big, powerful muscles, the ones that actually get us to move. But under those muscles that give us the 6-packs, which we all have, is the muscles that act as more of a corset. So those are our deep layers, and our core actually acts as a can. So we have our diaphragm on the top, our pelvic floor on the bottom, our transverse abdominis in the front, and our multifidi on the back. And those are what gives our spine stability. So then when we go to do a sit-up or go to pick up that pencil or paper off the floor, that our back is nice and controlled and stable, that everything is nice and tight. So these are really great for anybody who has back pain and you think, I work out, I do sit-ups, I try and do crunches, I do planks. All that is great, but sometimes we have to work a little smaller and a little more controlled. So the first one, I'm gonna give it back to Mackenzie to get a better angle, is called a cat and cow. If anybody has done yoga, and I think in our previous yoga Facebook lives, you might have seen this one as well. A lot of times, so just the movement pattern is you're going to be down into cow and up into cat. So getting that control and that movement pattern is the first thing. So I always have my patients start just finding the movement pattern. After that, we work on controlling it segmentally. So again, I missed a step. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. A lot of people will want to be out here or too far back. So you just want to be nice and neutral. And so we're going to start segmentally from bottom to top of the spine. So you're going to hold your shoulder blades still, start lifting through that tail, and then dropping through the spine. And then reversely, again, starting with the tail and rolling up the spine. So it's all control. If you can't dissociate your pelvis from your back, then you're just going to kind of lock down. So a lot of people will get really stiff because they just don't know how to find that differentiation of movement. So that is one way. Again, if you have trouble going weight through your hands, a full body, we can put you at a little different angle. So we're going to come this way. You'll want to find a surface that you can lean onto and kick your feet back. So you are still putting weight through your wrist, but you're going to take a lot of that weight off. So same thing, you can still do lead through the pelvis and lead here. You're going to get a little less back this way, but you can still work on the low back pelvis and control it that way. Finally, is being able to do this in standing. So again, you can dissociate. You're not moving your mid-back. You're just taking your pelvis and going back and controlling it down. Get my elbows out of the way, back and down. Even I get a little juddery on the down, so you can tell that's even a little bit of lack of control that I have. I don't know if you can see from that far away, but then the more I do it, that judder is going to go away because my muscles are figuring out how to coordinate and turn on. All of the tilt is you want to think I'm bringing my lower pelvis up to my spine, and so you're kind of closing that gap to do the cat part. So really trying to crunch low in your spine. All right, so we're moving on to segmental rolling. So rolling is my absolute favorite exercise, and a lot of people get it and they think I'm giving it to them just to laugh, but I promise you it's very beneficial. So when we think about how we're getting movement from babies, or since babies, the first thing that they learn to do is roll. Because it's a pretty basic movement pattern, but we lose that as we get older. So learning how to roll again can actually give you that control you need to do something like walking next or running. It's not an all or nothing. We need to roll, we need to find those muscles and those movement patterns in order to do those harder things. So basically going back, and we're going to learn how to roll again. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use our big mat again. And if you need to step on a box or something. Yeah. All right.
Let me know if they can see your too.
All right, so you're going to start with upper body rolling. So with upper body, you're going to be completely useless from the waist down. So you can use your core, but you do not want to use your legs at all. A lot of people cheat with this because it's really hard to not use their legs. So we're going to start here, and again, segmental, so you're starting top to bottom, and you're lifting hand, head, crunching, and over. And you should get a nice little flop if you're not recruiting your legs. Same, going back, starting top to bottom. So hand, head, back, and over. The keys to watch, if you are cheating a little bit, is on the back to front, is you're going to lift here, and this leg is going to try and push down into the mat. So you want to keep that leg really relaxed. Another tip though is if you lift arm, head, aim your arm and your head for your hip. So you're gonna lift up, aim down, crunch with your abs, and come over. I'm gonna show you this way so you can hear me talk. On the way back, again, the way you're gonna cheat here or want to help is use that knee to push down into the mat. So you wanna try and avoid using this leg. So you're gonna lift up, follow your hand with your head, and then once that hip comes up, it gets a little easier. You'll want to practice rolling with both arms. So we start with our left arm leading front to back, and then we'd also want to try right arm front to back. And usually there's a little bit harder of a way. Some people struggle, either front to back's easier or back to front. And then just working on it. A way to make it easier, you can stay facing this way.
Okay.
In clinic, we have nice wedges that will help, but stacking up pillows at home can also help. So you just give yourself a little bit of advantage. So if I'm already starting halfway turned, when I come up, I have less to go. So just prop yourself up and give yourself a little bit of an advantage with a wedge or some pillows. A lot of people get concerned about rolling over the one arm, but if you can keep it above you, you really won't trap it much at all. As you go over, it kind of stays out of your way the whole time. So just make sure you don't get stuck with it down here, or else you will roll over it. All right, so other half of the pattern is your legs. This one's usually a little bit easier for people. Your arms still stay above you, but you're leading with your legs this time. So you're gonna lift your leg over. You can use your core and flopping. Lift up, reach behind, don't push with your arms, and over. These can be done with momentum a lot easier on the legs, so I can just flip myself, but the slower the better. Again, this session's about control, and control is all about slowing movements down and finding those muscles that work. So knowing where I tighten, using my core to pull me over. Lifting, squeezing my glutes, over, and pulling through my back. All right. So that was some spinal segmental control. We're going to move into some scapular stabilization. So a lot of people can have shoulder pain, and if we don't have a stable foundation for our shoulder, then to move on, then it's not going to move properly. So we'll work our rotator cuff a lot to get the shoulder strong, but sometimes we forget about what our shoulder moves on, and that's our scapula or our shoulder blade. And so that's what I'm going to teach you a little bit today, is how to work some control in the shoulder blade and know how to move it from your spine. So we can move shoulder, or you can move shoulder blade. They're completely two different joints. They move very differently. So I have drawn out a nice clock to help show this. So I'm going to have Mackenzie real quick stand over here. Good. So if you think of your shoulder blade as a clock, take a step back for me. That's forward. So if you think of your shoulder blade as a clock, up to our head is 12 o'clock, out is 3, or if you're looking at your left, that would be 9 o'clock. In is going to be 9 o'clock on your right, 3 o'clock on your left, and then down towards the floor is 6 o'clock on both. So those are our main directions, and you can always spread it out from there. So I'm going to switch with Mackenzie. Just kind of hold that in screen. Good. So it's really hard to see movement from a camera, so I'm going to try the best I can. But to go to 12 o'clock, I'm gonna just elevate or lift my scapula up. So here's the base of my shoulder, now it's here. So you're just lifting it up and back to neutral. For 3 o'clock on my right, I'm gonna bring it forward. So I'm trying to get the mid of my scapula away from my spine. So now it's here, it's moving out. Next, you're gonna go to 6 o'clock. So you're gonna drop it down and back. This one's usually the hardest for people, and it's not a lot of movement. So neutral, depression, so down. And then the one we take up most, 9 o'clock on my right, 3 o'clock on my left, going together. It's also good to work, can you do one at a time? Can your arms move separate? It's not all the time are we working both arms at once. A lot of times we're gonna work one arm at a time. So being able to do them separate. Once you have your basic times now, so you can go up to 12, out to 3, down to 6, into 9. You can start working on the in-between. So can I find between 1 and 2 o'clock? Go up and forward. Can I find between 3 and 6 o'clock? So kind of go down and out. Can I find 7, 8? Can I find 11, 10? And working on those middle numbers. So it's all about control of the scapula, so finding that movement and being able to know where you can go. A lot of people, we can just circle, but can I know if I want to go specifically to 9 o'clock, can I take that shoulder there? Specific to 12, specific to 6. Finding those movements and knowing why and where my shoulder is in those movements. My other favorite for the shoulder blade are serratus push-ups on the wall. Some people know them as push-up with a plus, but again, I'm going to teach you on a wall versus being on the floor. So, putting your hands on the wall, you're not going to put too much weight through them. You're going to be about 2 feet off the wall with your feet, your hands against. You're going to then bring your chest to the wall without bending your elbows too much. They can have a slight bend. And then pressing away from the wall. Controlling it in, controlling it out. So all we're doing is taking my shoulder blades from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, back and forth, but having them close onto a wall. So I'm going to have Mackenzie come speak from behind and see if we can see it any better. Good. So coming in and out. So having that control when we move is very important to give that solid foundation on. I'm really big on knowing why we move, and here at CORA we really like to educate our patients on why movement's important, and not just that you need to go out, you need to exercise, but we want you to know why you need to exercise, why you need to move, and why you need to control that movement. Injury prevention is just as good as injury correction. So a lot of these are going to help you prevent injury from happening. You're controlling the forces that is being put on your body. So the last one that I'm going to show you real quick is just a neck stabilization for those that have a little bit of neck pain. Our upper traps a lot of times try and protect our neck, so people get a lot of the pain up here in the neck. So what we're going to do is show you how to create some work in the front of your neck, our deep neck flexors, to help take off the load. So you're not using, again, those power muscles, the muscles that are meant to just move and relax, but the ones that are going to stay on and stabilize us. So my last thing today, let's actually just go to this mat. Good. Go ahead and come on down.
Okay, from the side.
Yep.
Okay.
And perfect. All right, so you're going to drop your chin almost into a backwards J. So coming down and back. And you should feel like you're giving yourself a double chin, or it's kind of hard to talk. Once you go there, you're wanting to hold tight here and barely lift off the mat so no more than a piece of paper could slide through. This is very hard talking, so I'm going to show you without talking for a second. Good. And hold. So I could even start feeling my neck shake a little bit, but all the work was in the front here. A lot of people will start feeling too much in the back of their neck, and that's because they're clenching everything and raising that chin. So you really want your chin to be down, and if you feel too much in the back of your neck, really think down. Keep my chin next to my throat. You're holding about 5 seconds, return to the mat, and then release. Alrighty, so thank you for joining us live on our Facebook with CORA. Hopefully we were able to teach you a little bit about why controlled movement is beneficial to just in general, injury prevention, and getting us further strengthening. So these exercises can benefit anybody from the newly injured to somebody who's been working out forever. Basically, we just want you to control your movement so you move a little better. Thank you again for joining us. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments box and I'll try and check them and answer them. Again, I'm Brittney at CORA Physical Therapy in Alcoa.